we can't be reporting stuff, or we can't be doing that for you, which is basically, that's why he is in the job that he does. These guys follow specific requirements and compliance, but don't go to your banker and say, hey, can you get this stuff off your credit? It's not going to happen. If they tell you they can, they're lying. Okay? That's what Mike does. That's what his industry does. So, important to know. Consider using an old card. We talked about this. Keep your old cards open. At worst, if you have, say you have 3 credit cards, one was open 10 years ago, one was open 5 years ago, one was open 3 months ago. Which one do you want to close? If you need to close one from 3 months ago. Keep your old ones open. That's established track history and time in the bureaus. Very important to keep that open. Don't close your old lines. Okay, maintaining. I'm not going to go over identity theft, but that page is in there. Please read it later. It's very important as far as personal knowledge on that. I won't cover that because it's really off topic. Talk about that. Okay, this page is great. You can actually, this is something you can do if you just are curious. And Mike can kind of give you a little more intel on this. This is the direct lines, the phone numbers to call the bureaus. And you can call them. A lot of the reason why I like to refer folks to Mike and send folks that way is because I've called these numbers before. I've called all 3 of them. And they are a pain in the butt. And they are call centers in India, not lying. Straight up, I called them and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And it's definitely in a foreign country. And trying to get through and trying to get the information through, it can take you like an hour and a half a piece on per phone call. So that's what these guys do. They have a way faster system for being able to do it. But if you feel like going out there on your own and checking it out, or at least calling and asking about that, you are entitled to 1 free credit report per year per bureau. 1 free credit report per year per bureau. They don't have to give you your score, but they have to give you by law your credit report, which means your entire history of time of bureaus. And you're entitled to that. So you can call and ask them for that. You're going to go through an automated system if you did, where you're going to have some rep on there trying to, hornswoggle you into paying $8 to get your score. Say, listen, I just want my report, if you want to do that. But then again, you can take the easy way and take Mike and help you out. Really quick and easy for it. All right. And basic information for not getting identity theft on that page right there. And then that is all of that. And okay, the very, very, very last page of your pack, I want you guys to take a look at. I'm just going to spend a quick minute on this. It's the credit builder program. This is what I do here at BMO Harris Bank. And going back to what Mike was saying, it's important to get all the bad stuff off your credit. But if you're not doing anything to get to put positive things on your credit, then again, you're going to be stunted the growth of your credit score. You're going to stunt the growth of your credit score if you don't get some good stuff on it. We have a program at BMO Harris it's a loan program. It's not a credit card. It's not a prepaid credit card or a secured credit card. It's an actual CD secured loan, which means that it's basically a forced savings plan. What you do is you come in and see me, and you basically say, I want to do and you can see the limits on there. Let's say you want to do a $1,000 to $5,000 CD. CD is just simply a savings account with a lock on it. It says that it's in there for 24 to 60 months, and that money is sitting in there earning interest. All this is a savings account with a lock on it. You say, hey, I want to open a CD with you for $5,000 and put 60 months on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out of my pocket $5,000, BMO Harris's pocket, $5,000. I'm going to put that in the CD for you. So I'm giving you $5,000 in savings, which means you have $5,000 asset in savings right there. So, and what we learned earlier, $40,000 plus another $5,000 in savings means you have total ability of $45,000. That's what you look like up there. So what it does is A, it gives you immediate savings, and B, it gives you a track record, because what you're going to do is you're completing back monthly for me funding the cash for your savings. So I'm going to fund your savings account for you, and you're going to just pay me back monthly until it gets paid off. And you can see the payment, the interest is built into it. That is the monthly payment right there. You can see. So it's a really awesome program. I can talk to you guys about that a little bit later, but I'd like to go ahead and introduce you to Jake. He's going to talk to you later. He's our president.
I have some. I'll bring you some in a moment.
Alright, so everyone's got one? If you guys find on the inside, you'll find the, kind of like the PowerPoint. Pretty straightforward, just kind of want to make sure I cover everything with you guys. Anyone curious? It should be on the left side? Yep. First slide says for sale. That's what I'm going to be going over. So I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of statistics and where the market's at. Maybe you don't know and you're kind of curious kind of where, kind of where things are at, where they were before. That's kind of pretty much what the first one is. Comparing November 2011 to November of 2012. Just a quick snapshot. The stats for December comes out in a few more days. But last year overall in general was just a steady increase each month compared to last 2011. Home sales, like I said, are up 20%, or were up 20% in November compared to a year ago. So definitely a big increase from all the previous years. Median price up 12% to $129,000. So you can kind of get an idea of what average sales are going for. For the amount of homes that are on the market, you can kind of get, to give you an idea, in 2007 there was about 13,000 to 15,000 homes, which really diluted the market. Home sales, the more is out there on the market, the lower the price is going to be. The fewer the homes on the market, the higher the price is going to be. So in 2011 there was just over 10,000. Last year, yeah, just in the Orlando area, there was less than 8,000 last year. And where I'm getting this is from the association I'm a part of, which is the Orlando Regional Realtor Association. So these are hard stats that you can definitely take to the bank. So let's say if no home was listed at all anymore after November, and the sales continue to go as they were, there would, in about 3.5 months, there would be no more homes in the market. That's how quick they're going. Yes, supply and demand. And the average interest rate was 3.4%. That's so. If you think not only when looking at the sales price of the home, you also want to also consider the interest rate, because that's going to be for 30 years. It's never been this low.
That's not really 50 years.
Yeah. So average, what would you say, is maybe 7% over 30 years? Well, now it's below 4. So if you really start crunching the numbers, I mean, it's pretty significant. So just some good information to think about whether or not if you think now's the time to buy for you, or if you're still kind of waiting to kind of see what the market's going to do. You know, just food for thought. The next one was just kind of questions to ask yourself when thinking about, am I ready to purchase? That's kind of why we have everyone here, is just kind of the step-by-step process. You have the credit restoration, you have Christy. If you want to try to increase your income, Drew will be able to help you out. And you finally figure out, once you meet with Christy, well, how much can I afford? What's the maximum loan amount I could get? Now you may, let's say you can get a $150,000 loan. Well, you may not want that much. What's your monthly payment going to be? And then you can kind of go from there. You can come to me, hey Jake, I really want a home up to $130,000. Perfect, great. We know what your price point is going to be. The expectation has been set. Okay. What type of loan are you going for? Christy again is going to walk you through that. tell you the difference, advantages, pros and the cons. How much are your closing costs? That's something else Christy's going to go over with you. That's an addition to your down payment. So just a lot of people don't realize closing costs. They think, okay, FHA, all it is 3.5%. Well, it's a little more than that when you actually come time to sign all the papers. And again, Christy, it's a lot of information.
Does your part of the rate of revenue as well as far as negotiating your closing costs?
Closing costs can be part of what you negotiate in the contract, but there's always, depending on the sale, if it's a bank-owned property, I've never had a bank give more than 3% towards your closing costs. I've always been told to figure maybe around 5 or 6% of the sale price is what your closing costs are going to be. So you're still going to have to come with more to the table.
If it's a bank home?
If it's a bank-owned, it's pretty much same with a short sale. If it's a traditional sale, you're dealing with a seller.
Sometimes you can get them, if the person's desperate to sell, they might trump the closing costs. They might cover that for you. It's a little bit more rare nowadays.
Yeah, it's getting
It's
a little more specific. And again, as you can tell by everyone talking, real estate, going to purchase a home or improving your credit score is all on a case-by-case situation. It's just so unique. And doing all this, it's more of a relationship. Who do you feel comfortable with? And that's why we like to have these seminars, to build that relationship with you. So after you kind of figure out what type of loan you're going for, how much you're going to go, you need to ask yourself, well, what's your time frame? Well, Jake, my lease is up in June, so it's mid-January now. We got about 5 months or so. Okay, well, let's talk about the different sales. That would be the next slide. There's 3 different types: short sales, bank-owns, traditionals. Short sales, how they got their name is not that they're short. It's that it's a sale selling short of what the seller owes. That's how it got its name.
There's a long process.
Yes.
It's a long process.
So depending on the type, depending on the seller, they could have 2 different loans on the property. It could even be 3, depending, HELOC, home equity loan. So how many loans can also determine how long that process is going to take. On about average, it can be 3 to 5 months. And that's from the time you write the contract and it's been accepted to here are your keys. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How long is it?
On average, about 3 to 5 months. But I've had a short sale listing where I've represented the seller, and it took 9 months. I've heard of 16 months. It really all depends on the situation. So bank owns, they can take about 45 days. Traditional sales, it can be 45 days, it can be 30 days. Also, it's going to depend too on the type of loan you're going for. Conventional, can be maybe 30 days. FHA, you're probably going to look at about 45 days. So it really just all depends on the type of loan too. So you want to, when you think about the time frame, if you have 5 months, maybe you want to consider short sales. If you don't have that time frame, that's not going to be part of the search criteria we look at. And right now, short sales are about 25% of the market. Bank owns are about 25%. Traditional sales have vastly increased to 50%. I want to say, in 2011, at one point, the highest was 73% was short sales and foreclosures. So you can see how much the market can fluctuate with just in a year. So you've kind of figured out what type of time frame you're kind of working within. and then now it's time to make that fun list of wants versus needs in the type of home you're looking for. You know, you may want a 13-bedroom, 25-bath, 90,000 square foot home, 2 pools, a movie theater, lakefront property, on 10 acres. You're probably looking for the biggest home in America. I'm sure you've heard of it, Versailles, Lake Butler, David Siegel's house. It's going for $100 million. $100 million? Only $100 million. So you may want all those things, but your real needs are maybe a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot home, you know, up to $150,000. So I mean, those are some of the things I really like to look what I call for deal breakers. What are your deal breakers? If it doesn't have a 2-car garage, I don't even want to look at it. I don't care if it's got new paint, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, 42-inch cabinets, you know, pool, screened in. I don't care. It doesn't have a 2-car garage. I don't want to look at it. That's what I want to know. Got to have a 4-bedroom. My 3 girls, I want them to have individual rooms. Those are some of the things I want to know. Location. If it's not in this zip code, if it's not within this school district, I don't want it. Something too to think about too is when school districts, they also get rezoned. So that's also too something important to think about when maybe looking at a certain school district. So just some food for thought, something to think about. And then lastly, kind of what I want to talk about was just how can I help? What is it that a realtor does for you? And first off, as a realtor representing a person purchasing a property, what I do for you is at no cost to you. The seller pays me. So a lot of people have a misconception about that. Now, if it was the seller, then if you were the seller would pay me. In a short sale transaction, the seller does not pay me. Their lender pays me because they don't have the money to pay for their home. So the bank's not expecting the seller to pay. They would be expecting to pay. So just wanted to make sure everyone knew about that. I'm also someone that is there for you throughout the process. This is my bread and butter. This is my industry. I know the ins and outs, the loopholes, the pitfalls, what to look for, things that, you know, if you went by yourself, may waste your time. You know, going through a house, I'm going to point out, hey, I see a stain on the roof. That might be an issue for Joe when he comes in for an inspection. That may not be able to, that may be an issue. And a lot of homes right now are as is, which means it doesn't matter what's wrong with the house, it's as is. You buy it as is.
But those are like bank-owned homes, right?
Bank-owned, short sales, traditionals, doesn't matter. As is.
What? Not buying no home like this.
Seller doesn't want that. That's going to be a hard one.
Well, the thing is that the homes are already upside down in value. At the height of the market, the cost for home, or the value of the homes was really being inflated by appraisers saying, you know, this home is worth much more than it really is worth because of crooked appraisers and things like that. And so you could buy a house that at the time, 10 years ago, was still in terrible shape, but it cost, you know, $200,000. Immediately after 2009, the property value went down to $90,000. So it's $110,000 on the value of the house. That means the person that holds that note, they're trying to get rid of that house. They're already taking $110,000 loss on that home. Okay, the bank is taking that if the person defaults or the person sells it, they're going to sell it short no matter what. So they will not spend out of their own pocket to fix anything going on with their home because they already lost so much money. So they really say, if you're willing to pay this price for it, you're already getting a steal the deal because I paid double what you're paying. So really, the burden comes on you.
And it's not to say that, you know, little things here and there can be fixed. I have friends that I'm working with right now who are purchasing a home in the Vista area. something, there was a weird electrical thing on the back patio. You know, we understood it was an as-is contract, but also some things aren't going to pass appraisal when it comes to getting a loan. A bank is not going to lend you money on a house that has plumbing issues.
Okay.
It's unlivable.
Right.
So as far as their asset covering their butt, they're not going to give you it.
Okay.
So it's going to be in the best interest for the seller, or else the only way they're going to sell the property is if they have a cash buyer.
Okay.
And not a lot of people have $150,000 cash.
I have a question. If it's as is, the seller will still tell you what's wrong with the house or no?
The seller is supposed to disclose all known issues.
Little things like you
That's
mentioned,
what
I don't do that myself.
Well, and he's supposed to the best of his knowledge. It doesn't mean that he doesn't know that there's wood rot in the roof. And that's where, when we go under contract, we specify, well, we're going to give Joe 7 days to inspect the property. And Joe,
Okay.
yes, that's how it works.
Yeah, see, this is where we said the best for last. It's gonna
Oh,
be
okay,
very
but
clutch.
those like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say, whoa.
What
Inspection?
You're gonna like
Be
it.
prepared, you don't like specific.
Okay.
So,
Okay, no.
you know, you've figured out in this process what your monthly payment is if you're going to get that type of loan. Now let's find the house. We found the house. We've agreed on the price, the terms, the closing date, how long we have to inspect. Now let's bring Joe in once we have everything signed. Joe does the inspection. If nothing comes back that is a concern for you guys, we would write just a statement saying the inspection's fine. Then we would order the appraisal with Christy or Drew. The appraiser would go out there. He would appraise the property. As long as it came back at or higher than what we agreed upon, we would then close. We would do the survey and then close. Let's say something did come up in the inspection. Let's say their roof needed to be replaced. We would then go to the seller, hey, the roof needs to be replaced. We weren't taking that in consideration when we made our offer. We want a reduction in this amount. He could say yes, he could say no, or he could say, well, I'm only going to give you this amount. That's where negotiating comes in. The seller is not obligated at any time to accept the appraised value if the appraisal is lower, or to fix anything. But just remember, the inspection is paid out of pocket. That is not, that when you agree upon everything, you have to pay the inspector out of pocket, and if you don't get the house, you're still out that money. I've had the friends that I have in La Vista, they paid for an inspection 3 times. This is the 3rd time. So they're already out $700. They don't even own a house yet.
And that's because of the seller back up.
That's because the seller was not willing to work with us.
We'll let Joe cover that on there, but you have any more on your...
It was...
We're segueing strong into him, so
Oh, yeah.
but
The only other thing is the appraisal. Same thing with the appraisal. If you offer $150, it appraises at $140. The seller doesn't have to bring down his price to $140, but you're still going to have to pay the appraisal. So just some things to think about, which I'm going over very general things. And these are some of the things I work with you, I walk you through, make sure you understand everything. That expectation is set. It's just, I'm another go-to person, professional that does this daily. So, does anyone have anything? Joe?
Oh, okay. There are a few things here for a second.
just nice to get iPad over here.
Yeah, I see that. Picture that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Wasn't some sort of... We'd have found that in inspection.
have a projector or a screen would give a little bit of a show. What I want to do at the outset is kind of bring this to something that maybe women can identify to a little better. Guys like playing around with cars and houses, it's our second nature. But women typically don't get under a hood or crawl around an attic. Okay, it's just not something they're, So let's try to think of it this way. You have an event Saturday night and you need a dress, right? And you have a budget of $100. And you go in the store and they have your dress and it says on there, all sales final. Okay. It's 5 o'clock, you need this dress. You found it, it's $90. It's a little bit under budget, right? All that's good. You take it home. Oh. I think I'll come back later. You take it home, and the zipper doesn't work. To get it fixed, costs you $30. You don't have $30, do you? Because you had a budget for $100, it costs $90. What do you do?
Somebody can let me know $30. If it all says fine, it just says final, but
you wear it as it is, taped up, duct tape, whatever. That's kind of where you're at. Okay? So the way we have it is, as we've gone through the list of how you buy a home, is the first thing is you got to get your credit. If you don't have credit, you're not going anywhere. But they're absolutely correct about that. You can't go anywhere without money, okay, a loan. Once you get that, Drew's going to tell Jacob how much you can borrow. Jacob's not, if it's a $150,000 home, he's not going to show you $300,000 homes, right? It wouldn't be wise. He'd be upset. Okay? If Jacob's smart, he's going to give you a $140,000 home. He's going to give you a comfort, right? Okay. The same thing here is when you come to that purchase, if there's a way for you to know about that zipper in advance, okay, typically you can go to the department store. If you'd have known that, right, and it's $90 printed, and you say, as we said, $30 to fix it, right? Or you can fix it yourself for $5. Let's say you're really good. It seems you get that, and you go and you show them. Now you have proof. What do you think they'll do? I've had it where I've gone into department stores and I've shown them that this, something's not quite right. There's a snag or something like that, and they discount it. Because why? You have proof. True. Okay, so now that $90 dress really is $90 because it'd be operational because you discounted it. Okay? Okay, you start to see? Okay. So I talked to 3 women that I've done appraisals for, not appraisals, inspections for. And I asked them, 3 things that were important to them after it was done. And this is what, pass this around. That's the home. And if you look at that little section there, on the roof.
Well, you gotta show me. All right.
Okay.
Looks like that, Joe.
Okay. So her name's Suzanne, and when she looked at the home, she loved it. This woman had gone through, she drove her realtor crazy. She's a very meticulous, picky, sharp, bright woman that has a very definite opinion of what she wants. She wanted charm. That's a 1940s home, okay? Beautiful home. Did the inspection, talked her down off the ceiling. She was so worked up, about when I found the roof, that area in there. And she had a pier that wasn't quite touching the support. So if the wood laid across this way, it wasn't touching like it should be. But the house had sat there perfectly since 1940, so you knew there was nothing really wrong. And by the way, I'm an engineer and a general contractor, so I have a little more depth than maybe a few other people. And so I sat there and I said, you're getting all worked up over nothing. Everything's fixable. Would you agree? Even that zipper. Okay. Because you really like the dress, right? Okay. So you know, we talked about the ceiling, and I said, my opinion is $5,000, you could fix about anything there is in that roof. Turn it in contingent on the repair or the credit. The seller didn't want to fix it, which is by and large a lot of the times they just want it out of their hair and say, fine. Well, she got a $5,000 discount. The value's there, right? She was then comfortable, and that's important, right? The next woman that I had is Dr. Katera. She's a doctor in Ocala. She's a single mom, and she takes care of her elderly mother. She was worried about safety. I don't know how this pool passed, but you see that gate around there? Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. This thing passed 3 years before an inspection because I go into the cities and the counties and I pull all the permits. Because you don't want to buy something if they say this house was built and there's no permit. You understand that? Because if that house is sitting there and it isn't legal, you're going to have a whole lot of problems in your life. Okay? So I go through there and I look through it before I even get there. And I make sure every building has a permit, and if they've done some improvement like on a roof, it's documented. You know, I don't want Billy Bob up there re-roofing without a license because you're not covered.
Right.
Okay, so I inspect all that. We get in there, there's no gate. And it was so obvious but unobvious that I kept staring at it going, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? There's no gate. She has a child, neighbor's children to get in. If she'd have bought it, she'd have been liable. The other thing is there were 2 furnaces in Ocala. It gets a little colder. Gas furnaces. This house was built by a builder who's still living in it, by the way. Who was? We had a gas detector. And I thought, what the heck? You know, I'm going to check. Both furnaces were leaking inside the home. Within 1 hour, he had someone there fixing it. Not, you know, his child had been living in that house for 5 years. And again, the child didn't die or anything like that, but still, it's not something you want to have a problem with. Okay. Dr. Katera was able to get a discount of about $15,000. They realized, you know, it was necessary. This last one, Ms. King, is a do-it-yourselfer. Interestingly, she was all, there's a saying, when it's not about money, it's about money. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very true. Everything's about money, like it or not. So, we're going to play a game, and I have 2 things to give away. And the one is, when I'm going to show you all this, I'm going to put it all out, I'm going to tell you the price it started at. Okay? Then, the one that's closest to the price she got the home for will win one prize. The one that guesses what she actually fixed it for gets the other. Because the fact is, she fixed it for much less than, as a general contractor, I've got to make a profit, right? Would you agree? I mean, I have cars and trucks and things of that nature. So I sit there and I do this. And my figure would be, what I told her, and that's the other thing I have in my capability is, as being a general contractor, I am allowed to give prices for fixes. Where others, they shouldn't be doing that, okay? So I gave her a price, I thought this is what it'll be, okay? So anyways, I'm going to have you come up here. I'm going to show you a few things, and I'm going to give you some hints. Okay? You want to come up around the table?
Hey, come on.
I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to let you write down a number.
Like, all right, well, I'm going.
And then we have 2 gifts. Okay. I'm going to show you all the counts. I'm going to explain it to you, and then you can start whittling away your numbers. I will tell you right now, the house started at $304,900. Okay? Just so you know, I've written it down, that's real. This is what the home looked like, 2,700 square feet and 10 acres. And she had an 800 square foot guest home, if you want to call it that, okay? Good. So that's our starting point, right? In 1970s home, I will tell you this in advance, built like a rock. Other things not so much, but the structure built real well. So, fair market value, if it was like the dress, we assume it works real well, everything's fine. Would be fair. No problem. Okay. First thing we come to, let's get a little wiring out of the way. Very good, very good. What should you not have next to to running water.
Electricity.
Seems pretty smart, doesn't it? Okay. That had black on it. You want to know why it had black around it?
Corrosion.
Sparky, arky. See that plant? It's hanging by the wires.
Oh,
It's supposed to be covered. There's a nice one. Circle it. That's arcing because they put 2 wires into one slot. There's another one. Now you don't see this stuff. Most people are afraid of electricity. I'm an electrical engineer. It doesn't bother me. Yeah. So,
It's everything in one.
Exactly.
so there's 2 in there. And most people, like I said, just fear it, so they don't even open it. They pretend it's not there. Okay, and they do. And I'll show you how they do that.
Is that uncovered?
Yes. And we go right into it. We touch it, play with it, because you have to look at it to understand it. So this is one thing here. This is all the electrical issues, right? Now we have a pool. Now, I've owned a pool once in my life. I'll never own one again. Too much work. Thank you. Daughter had a daughter, and that's all she got about. So she got her thing. She's graduated now. Pools usually have a pressure gauge, and then when they're operating, they usually show some pressure.
When they're on.
Zero right?
Yeah, and it was operating.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That's a slick on the wiring in there. We definitely have a leak because there's a residue. Like I said, 0 meter, but see, I'm going to show you it is running and it's leaking. Okay. Might want to not have exposed wires out there. That would worry me a bit. So that's your pool problem. Now let's get into the plumbing. What do you think? Looking good to you?